We are told that the stories we learn about great leaders are straight facts passed down by textbooks or quoted by experts. But it was a lie. The reality is that famous names used power psychology to shape what millions believed. Hitler and Goebbels turned simple slogans into repeated messages, making victory and unity feel true even when pain and loss spread across Germany. Stalin's regime erased opponents from photos and books to build a false history that justified purges and fear-driven loyalty. Mao's government printed billions of quotations and staged loyalty rituals so people accepted ideas without question, binding identity to repetition of the leader's words. We learn that repetition, authority claims, and control of information can warp minds when no one questions what they see or hear. By examining how these figures shape mass beliefs, we see the dark side of power psychology. When messages repeat in every street poster, radio speech, or school lesson, minds bend until truth blurs. Recognizing this teaches us to pause. When a slogan echoes in our ears, we must ask who benefits and what lies hide behind the loud claims. Consider how Hitler's team used power psychology to engineer a shared reality. They picked simple themes tied to people's fears, then plastered them everywhere in speeches, films, posters, so lies stuck as facts. Goebbels crafted images in movies like Triumph of the Will that felt real, stirring pride or dread so deeply that critical thought shut down. He ensured constant exposure. Newsreels, youth rallies, school texts all echoed the same lines. When visuals and sounds repeat in a powerful loop, the mind accepts them without checking truth. If we see a message again and again, we must question its source and purpose before letting it settle as fact. Familiarity bred by repetition becomes a trap, making lies feel like memories. The lesson: never let repeated slogans replace direct observation or personal judgment. Stalin's tactics relied on the same power psychology. He built a cult of personality by presenting himself as a wise father figure, while secret police enforced silence through fear. Schools, art, and youth groups all repeated the same message. Stalin was infallible. Photographers retouched images to remove purged figures, rewriting history one snapshot at a time. Controlling what people read or see lets a leader rewrite reality and crush doubt. When only one voice dominates every channel, false stories become accepted truth. To resist this control, we need multiple sources and independent checks. Only then can we spot when history has been painted over to serve power. We learn that a healthy mind questions every claim, especially when convenient narratives benefit those in authority. Mao's campaigns followed the same pattern. His little red book circulated everywhere, so that hearing the same lines daily felt like truth itself. Public displays of loyalty tied individual identity to the leader's image, using group pressure to silence dissent. Rituals, songs, and study sessions forced repetition until questioning seemed betrayal. This teaches that when a message reaches all corners of life, homes, workplaces, schools, it seeps into minds unchecked. To guard against this, people need a habit of asking why, rather than echoing repeated phrases. Power psychology works by making messages feel natural through constant exposure. Building a habit of doubt is the first defense. When slogans become part of daily routine, pause and examine whether meaning remains or has been hollowed out. Power psychology hinges on basic mind tricks. Authority bias makes us trust messages from leaders or experts, even if wrong. Repetition breeds belief through the illusory truth effect. Hearing something often makes it feel real. Fear appeals pressure people to accept any promise of safety. Social proof, seeing crowds join in chants or rituals, pushes individuals to conform so they won't feel alone. Confirmation bias then locks in beliefs. Once a narrative takes hold, we seek only supporting evidence. Knowing these tactics helps spot when we're nudged by emotion rather than fact. so we pause before sharing or acting on shocking claims. Recognizing emotional triggers and default reactions is key. Do not let an urgent tone or dramatic image override calm analysis. History shows how ordinary people fell under these influences. In Nazi Germany, citizens heard daily news of threats, watched staged rallies, and saw neighbors applauding the leader. Doubt was risky, and isolation made skepticism dangerous. In Stalin's USSR, neighbors reported each other under whispered fear, convincing many to hide doubts or believe lies to survive. Under Mao, classmates recited the same phrases, and speaking against the line meant social exile. These narratives illustrate the human cost of manipulation, minds shaped to serve power rather than truth. We learned that isolation of dissent and constant group reinforcement break down individual resistance. Recognizing when community pressure silences, doubt helps preserve independent thought. Psychological experiments shed light on this vulnerability. Obedience tests showed that people obey authority figures even against conscience when convinced it serves a higher purpose. Conformity studies revealed that group pressure can make individuals deny their own eyes. These experiments mirror how propaganda exploits authority and group signals to override personal judgment. Messages backed by perceived experts or unanimous crowds carry undue weight. Recognizing this bias is key to resisting manipulation. When you notice yourself deferring to authority without question, pause and consider whether the claim holds up under scrutiny. Tools and channels changed, but tactics remain. Today's digital propaganda uses algorithms to create echo chambers. We see only content reinforcing our views, like historical slogans tailored to our fears and hopes. Targeted ads and viral posts tap into emotions, driving actions without clear awareness. Deepfakes echo staged films, blurring reality online. The scale is unprecedented. Repetition now happens through endless feeds, and authority comes from influencers as well as official sources. Digital vigilance is essential. Question sudden spikes in one-sided content and seek diverse views to build mental armor against subtle influence. Recognize that every click and share can amplify a message designed to steer opinion. Breaking down a propaganda campaign reveals a blueprint. Identify a fear or desire in the population. Craft a simple, emotionally charged message. Choose effective channels: posters, radio, film, or social media. Repeat relentlessly. Use authority symbols or influencers for endorsements, stage social proof events, or viral trends. Demonize a target to unite supporters. Suppress dissent by controlling channels or shaming critics. Reinforce narratives through education and culture. Recognizing these steps helps detect similar strategies in marketing pitches or political ads. Awareness of the blueprint makes us less likely to fall into the trap of mass deception. Whenever we spot a simple slogan repeated in different places, we must ask, who designed this message and to what end? Personal vignettes bring these ideas to life. Imagine a citizen who wakes to news of an external threat, sees neighbors praising a leader for protection, and hears the same slogan at work and home until doubt fades. Picture a young person whose identity ties to group rituals praising the cause, silencing questions to avoid alienation. In our digital age, picture someone scrolling through feeds that show only one viewpoint, reinforcing beliefs until opposing facts seem unreal. These stories show how power psychology works on individuals by blending repetition, authority, and social proof into daily life. When we realize how easily a repeated narrative seeps in, we understand the importance of stepping outside our bubbles. Expert voices deepen understanding. Historians note that propaganda exploits cognitive biases like confirmation bias and the illusory truth effect, making lies feel like memories. Psychologists remind us that obedience arises not from evil hearts, but from situational pressures and perceived authority. These insights teach that resistance begins with self-awareness. Noticing emotional pull, testing claims against evidence, and valuing diverse perspectives over comforting group consensus. When we recognize that our mind can be nudged by simple tricks, we become better at catching ourselves before we accept a false narrative. Actions to build resilience include media literacy. Question sensational headlines, check sources, compare multiple accounts, and reflect before sharing. Practice pausing when a message triggers strong emotion, asking who benefits from this claim and what evidence supports it. Cultivate exposure to different viewpoints and foster open dialogue to counter echo chambers. Encourage communities to discuss and analyze messages rather than accept them passively. Teaching these skills is itself an act of resistance, building mental habits that resist shortcuts of repetition or appeals to authority. A modern warning tale might examine a recent disinformation wave that fueled unrest. Repeated false claims spread through networks, convincing people to act against their interests. Just as in past eras, repetition and emotional triggers steered crowds, showing that technology amplifies age-old tactics. This reinforces that understanding history's lessons is vital to navigate today's information landscape. When we see sensational posts claiming instant threats or miraculous solutions, we recall how echoes of propaganda once drove entire societies into ruin, reminding us not to fall for the same traps. By studying how big leaders used power psychology, Hitler's slogans, Stalin's photo edits, Mao's loyalty rituals, we see a pattern of mass deception. Simple messages repeated often, backed by authority symbols, spread through controlled channels and enforced by group pressure. The lesson is clear. To guard our minds today, we must check sources, question easy answers, and seek evidence beyond repeated lies. Only then can we resist manipulation and keep control of our own views. Reflect on the familiar claims you've accepted without question, and commit to seeking clarity beyond the surface, building mental armor against the dark psychology of mass influence. Continuous self-scrutiny and collective awareness become the shield that prevents us from being reshaped by someone else's narrative.